Hey, I'm April, and this is Bitch Bed Podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, or welcome to the podcast. I hope everybody had a good month, and if their month wasn't all that great, I hope your next month is a whole lot better. All right, I've been thinking about something lately. I know, real big surprise there. I've seen a bunch of posts on my social media about how nobody talks about the grief that people have to go through when they make the decision to cut off or go no contact with a family member. Well, I'm going to talk about it. Or more so, I'm going to be talking about the lack of grief that I feel about the decisions that I made regarding certain people in my life and why I stand by those decisions. I do want to start off with saying that I understand that there are people out there that do grieve the loss of relationships with people in their lives and that they genuinely miss those people. I don't want anything I'm going to say to take away from any of what you feel. My experience is just different. It doesn't mean that how I handle these people is the quote-unquote correct way. It's just offering a different perspective. The biggest factor on why my experience is different than most is I don't have fond memories with the people that I decided to get rid of that I look back on. I don't think about the good times because there aren't any. I'm sure if we were to ask my dad, he might be able to supply a couple, but a couple moments out of an entire lifetime doesn't cut it for me. There have been a few times where people will hear about the decisions that I made for my life and say things like, "Oh, April, but there you're this or you're that. How can you do that?" Very easily, actually. Would you like the blueprint? I've done it rather successfully twice now. They're not my anything. Bringing me the bullshit argument of they're your family tells me that I need to make space and care about their feelings. Then when the hell is it going to be time for my feelings? When do they get their space and get cared about? Because it definitely wasn't then, and from that excuse, because it is an excuse, it won't be now either. I'm not taking anyone's feelings into consideration when that quote-unquote family you speak of never gave a shit about mine from the start. We're not playing that game over here. I was talking to a friend the other day about life, and this topic kind of came up, and she asked me how I felt about the lack of relationships I have with these people. I told her I was just fine with how things are. Could not be better, in fact. Yes, I am the one that initiated the no contact with these people, but I'm not the one that needs to fix what's been broken. It was easy for me to cut these people out of my life because there wasn't a relationship there to begin with, so I have nothing to mourn or grieve. I don't sit here and think about what could have been or what I would like to be different. I didn't have a mom like the majority of the world has or had a mom. I didn't have a sibling like other people have siblings. Those relationships were never a part of my life. I can't miss something that I never got to experience in the first place. I may have lived with these people for the vast majority of my life, but it was no more than coexisting. The majority of the conversations that started between us usually ended in screaming matches. If I could avoid being around or interacting with them, I would. If I wasn't out of the house, I was in my room with the door closed. I was content when I was being left alone. So tell me, does that sound like a loving family relationship? I remember when I was a kid, I got told by so many people that I lost count. When you get older, you two are going to be so close. It's just a phase, you'll grow out of it. You hate each other now, but you'll be best friends in no time. We didn't get closer. If anything, the older we got, the more that motherfucker irritated the shit out of me. It wasn't a phase either, since he's the same person he has always been. I may not hate him, but he is the furthest thing from my friend. As a kid, I knew we would never be close, and I got pretty good at doing things on my own. Being around someone every day doesn't make you close if you never utter more than a few words to each other. Living with someone doesn't mean you have a relationship with them. Sharing a bloodline doesn't make you family. I'm sure when I get closer to my wedding, someone somewhere will ask if I'll ever regret not inviting them to my wedding. And the answer is no. But let's play the hypothetical game, shall we? Let's say that in the next 10 years, my dad's ex-wife has decided that she wants to be a part of my life again. And she's proven to me that she has changed, basically, who she is as a person entirely. So, I decide to grant her access to me again. Will I feel bad that she wasn't invited to my wedding then? The answer is still no. I'm not going to feel bad about a decision that I made about a relationship that was non-existent at the time of the event. Maybe she'll get an invitation when we renew our vows. Hypothetically, of course. I'm not going to ruin a day that is about me and my husband because a shitty person doesn't like the fact that they were left out. Why should they get to be a part of the good moments when they caused so many of the bad ones? Why do I need to go out of my way so they can feel good when they have done nothing but make me feel miserable? Something that I have learned in my recent years and from my experiences with these people is that being a part of someone's life is a privilege. Having a title in their life is a privilege. Being a part of the big special moments in their lives is a privilege. Being considered family is a privilege. And I'm fresh out of participation trophies. But they're your family. Where was that line when I needed it? I do have a family. I also have people that I'm related to. I can't change that, no matter how much I wish I could. But I guess I will have to live with them being a part of my DNA results because their family tree is the only thing that will show any connection to me. I had a dream the other night, and my dad's ex-wife was in it, but it didn't feel like a normal dream. I don't remember all the things that she said to me, or the things that I said to her, or even if I said anything to her at all, but there was a mention of cancer and her dying. In the dream, I began hysterically crying, and I couldn't stop to the point where I woke up from the dream with tears in my eyes. Not enough to make them fall down my face, but enough to know that they were there. For the rest of the night, I wondered if I was going to wake up to a text message that she was dead. I didn't, nor have I gotten that text message since that dream. But I'm sure it would take some time for that type of news to get to me, since we haven't had a conversation outside of a courtroom in almost 10 years. But someday, I will have to face that fact, and I'm still not going to feel bad about the things that I said to her or the moments in my life that she never got to experience. But April, what if you never get more time? Isn't that the point? I did mine already. 25 to be exact. 18 if you factor for good behavior. And I plan on never going back. I don't need more time. I don't want more time. I don't care if there will never be another opportunity to speak with them again. I've said everything I needed to say. I've already heard the excuses and the bullshit apologies. I'm sure people will think that I'm mean for saying things like that. Well, I never said I was nice. They can make me the villain in their stories all they want. Well, they won't even be mentioned in the footnotes of mine. I will always put my peace and my happiness above their bullshit. One of the few beautiful things about being an adult is that you get to decide who has access to you. You get to decide who you share your moments with, both good and bad. You get to decide who you surround yourself with. Deciding that someone doesn't deserve to be around you anymore doesn't need to be this huge scene. You don't have to tell the person that you're cutting off your decision. You can walk away quietly. I did. You don't need to give anyone a chance to explain themselves one last time. You don't owe anyone an explanation. No one needs to sign off on that decision other than you. It can be as easy as pushing a button. Block the number, block the profile, set everything to private. No one gets to just know things about you without your say. I still remember when I found out that there was a remove follower button on Instagram. I had a field day. I wouldn't be surprised if I cut my follower count in half that day, but it was freeing. I was able to have full control over who got to see me, and no one could tell me differently. Yeah, I'm sure there will be people that want to give their 2 cents about a situation that they know nothing about, but you don't have to explain your boundaries to anyone. No one has to understand them besides you. They can either choose to respect them and there won't be any problems, or they can ignore them, which will cause them to have a problem when you enforce your boundaries. Well, you're just being selfish. I am. And there is nothing wrong with putting yourself, your happiness, your peace, and your future above a shitty fucking person, because they are not entitled to those things anymore. I can confidently sit here telling you that they are shitty people because, as I've already stated, I lived with them before. I know the type of people they are. You can't say the same. Because God forbid I have some fucking standards. How dare I stand up for myself? You mean to tell me they don't like it when I give them the same level of disrespect that they've only ever shown me, but, better, because I do like to win? Guilt trips don't work on me. Haven't worked for a long time. Especially if I flip my don't care switch, because it is as if you're talking to a brick wall. That switch is so easy to turn off, but basically impossible to turn back on. Better odds would be walking to the moon, honestly. I enjoy my don't care switch. It is also really fun to hear about it from my husband's point of view. He would also say it's the biggest trait that he's gotten from me during our relationship. How my don't care switch works is, if the person that I'm interacting with doesn't pertain to my everyday life in some aspect, I don't care. When it comes to the people in my life, I care. And I care wholeheartedly, completely. But if you give me my reason to flip that switch, it's done. Some might even say that I have the ability to become the most cold-hearted person they've ever met. And if there's one thing about me, I'm always fucking cold. I don't feel bad about the choices that I made when it came to how I dealt with these people. I'm not going to feel bad about it either. Honestly, I wish I could have cut them out sooner. My life is better without them in it. I'm better without them. I've stopped caring about the opinions of people that don't matter. But April, they could change. Cool. I'm still not interested. I would have an easier time believing that the rapture will happen tomorrow more than I would believe in that. And we all know I'm not religious. I've given them enough of my time, my energy, and myself. They don't get any more. And it's no one's fault other than their own. Don't let anyone tell you who you need to have in your life, especially if they've done something to deserve the sidelines. You have more say in the matter than you think. You don't need to be guilt-tripped into having someone around that you no longer care for because of how they would feel. They didn't want to be left out? Then they shouldn't have done what they did. Weren't we all taught as kids that actions have consequences? Well, welcome to the consequences. Have fun hearing about me from somebody else. Or don't. I really don't fucking care. I'm too busy having a better life. As always, to all the negative voices in your head, bitch bet. Oh, one more thing before we go. There's a new feature for my podcast. If you listen to it on any regular podcasting platforms, except I think YouTube, Rumble, and SoundCloud, but you have the ability to text me. There is a link in my show notes below, and you click it, and you can just text me whenever you want. And I want to hear from you. Okay, bye. Thanks so much for listening. Until we talk again next time.